Hi, Dan.
Hello, Dom.
Can you hear me? Let me get you in full screen for a second. All right. How are you?
I am very fine. How are you and Sarah?
Very, very good.
So, first of all, just thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this. It's just an absolute delight.
It's
Just
a pleasure. Anytime, actually.
yeah, yeah, and
I
just
like your taste in reading, by the way.
what's that?
I like your taste in reading to the left.
Well,
To
we'll
your
get to that. Yeah, nothing like a little bit of product placement, right?
exactly, exactly. Push product.
Yeah, right, right. And many of the people I think that will be watching this already know who you are. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time introducing you and all that stuff because there's always Google, right?
Exactly. Anyone
Yeah,
doesn't know.
right. So for those who don't, they can just trust me when I say that you are one of the preeminent biblical scholars in our country today. So, and right now, of course, with contemporary events happening, you can't talk about justice without talking about um, some of the heroes and heroines of justice.
Yes.
Right now, our country is mourning over the loss of one of those, and so I want to introduce this with a quote again from your autobiography, which you wrote: "Crucifixion meant that imperial power had won. Resurrection meant that divine justice had won. It was simply a conflict of gods, the Roman god of power against the Jewish god of justice." And so tomorrow, we have been told that our president is going to nominate a replacement for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. May her memory be a blessing to us. And we presume that the Senate will likely confirm that nominee in what I think most would just say is an act of sheer political power, contrary to if polls are to believe, contrary to the majority opinion in the country, who would prefer that the next president select that person. I went back and listened to one of your interviews with Terry Gross in 2004. It was just after the election. And you noted in that interview that the religious right played a significant role in the election of a conservative president, and that if Democrats wanted to, quote, meet Republicans on an even field, they better do some theology and better learn to put their theological language in public discourse. So here we are now, 16 years later, right?
Yeah.
Have we learned anything? Might it be that we are in part in the current mess because Democrats failed to listen to you?
Yeah, I could promote my books. I'd be honest with you. I mean, I ran into this problem in 1969, very personally. As a priest, I was a priest and a monk, and the Pope had come out with Humanae Vitae saying that any form of birth control, except say rhythm or abstinence, was a mortal sin. Like almost every decent theologian in the world, I was convinced he was wrong, and I was invited to go on television, PBS, in um, Chicago, and basically say what I thought. And I remember very clearly when I got the invitation, because they came in on a Monday and I was supposed to do it on a Tuesday, and I recognized that it was very easy to say, well, I'm sorry, not enough warning or something. So I said yes, and I knew this is it. I'm going to go on the radio. I was going to go on not wearing a collar, but wearing a tie and a suit because I was going on as a theologian, not as a priest, um, to say basically the Pope was wrong. I mean, I was very fair. I said Nixon was wrong too, so I thought it was nice and fair. I got annoyed everyone. So it surprises me when I find there's not a single one in the Senate with enough courage to stand up and say, okay, I know this finishes me, but I won't be on the street. I'm a lawyer. I have a job. I'm not like some poor guy who's a whistleblower and his family will lose everything. Just enough courage to say, I won't have anything to do with this. This is wrong. And no, let's go beyond that. This is evil, actually. because wrong could be just, inconvenient. And I won't have anything to do with this. I mean, statistically, there should always be in any group of, let's say, 50 people, there should be one or two just their dissidents, or if everyone's going this way, they're going that way, even if they're just, you know, just statistically. I had the same feeling with the bishops of the Roman Catholic Church. Statistically, there should be one or two that say, and if nobody does it, then the danger is you're dealing with a evil institution. And by evil institution, I mean that. I don't mean that every individual is evil, but that the institution has created a system in which you find yourself forced to do something. And that it takes huge courage to undo it, as distinct from, an ordinary situation. So I would think in any situation what appalls me, what honestly appalls me more than President Trump, is the Senate.
Hmm.
That there isn't more people who would say, at least one or two, who will name it what it is and not say, well, I'm a little uncomfortable with it. No, not uncomfortable. I had to make a decision. Now, I ended up fine. There was only 9 months when I didn't know what was going to happen, and I ended up as a associate professor at DePaul. Fine. But that's exactly what I expect any of these people would happen to. Nobody, I think, in the Senate, if they walked out now, is going to live on the streets or live in poverty. Most of them are lawyers. So it doesn't take huge courage, and it didn't for me either. I figured it'll work out somewhere or the other, and it did. I was 35 and young. So um, there should be a few people who would simply stand up and say, this is so wrong. I know it finishes me. I will be called all these names. I know all of that stuff. And I know exactly what will happen, that I'm finished politically. That's fine. I don't want any part of it. There should be some of that, or really have to think we're dealing with a corrupt, what's the term I want? I don't want to say corrupt individuals, but corrupt process almost, that has so corrupted them that they can't see that they have to walk out of this, get out of it. They can't any longer say, well, I just fight from within. Now, the good thing was, in my own case, within one day, the Cardinal Archbishop of Chicago had sent a letter to my religious superior, show cause within 1 week why Crossan isn't out of the diocese. So I knew that if I did this, this will happen. It was as sure as probably one of those senators would say, well, if I do this, I'm finished. Yeah, you're finished as a senator. I knew I was finished as a priest and a monk. So I don't want to make it sound like it takes much courage. It really doesn't, because you kind of figure, I'm going to survive. It's not like you have a family and it's your job and there's no other job coming and you're risking everything. So why would they not be willing to risk conscience and integrity and say, okay, this is terribly wrong.